This video covers the IGCSE Biology Objective 10.1.1 on the 2025 CAIE syllabus to describe a pathogen. So here we have some categories of pathogens. There are living examples of pathogens that you can see there, and we'll get into some detail of each of those. And we have acellular pathogens, that is non-living pathogens as well, and we'll talk about one of those as well. But basically a pathogen is a disease-causing organism, so that's what they all have in common. Now, there can be some organisms in these categories that are not disease-causing, but within each of these categories there are pathogenic organisms or non-living acellular organisms. So let's talk about a few of these that you need to know about. So the first one that you need to know about are bacteria, and bacteria have numerous different types of species. But basically bacteria are all unicellular organisms. They're prokaryotes. That means that they do not have a membrane-bound nucleus. And these types of organisms tend to reproduce very quickly. Basically what they're doing is they're going to compete with the host cell for nutrients. So if the bacteria gets all the nutrients, then the host cell will die. Now, bacteria cause disease by producing toxin compounds, and they release those toxins while they're trying to compete with the host cell, or when they're destroyed, they release the toxins. And in that way, it's the toxins that cause the disease in the host organism. The second one that we want to look at are fungi, and the examples of fungi that are in that particular kingdom are yeast, mold, and mushrooms. And so fungi can either be unicellular, like in yeast, or multicellular, like mushrooms. And fungi are going to attack the body surface of the host organism. So that would be like the skin or mucous membrane of an organism. And so some examples of fungal infections are things like thrush, which is caused by yeast. That typically happens in the oral cavity, the mouth, and athlete's foot, which is caused by a mold. So here we are looking at viruses. Now there are many different types of viruses. They come in many different forms, but they all do have some common characteristics. Whether or not they're attacking animals or specific species of animal or plant or bacteria. So viruses really are unable to do metabolism on their own. They're inert, and they cannot reproduce outside of a host cell. So they require a host cell in order to make a copy of themselves. And basically all viruses consist of some nucleic material surrounded by what's called a protein coat. And viruses are categorized as a DNA virus or an RNA virus. And depending on that, that will inform scientists on how to come up with a vaccine or some type of preventative measure against that particular virus. And then we have parasites. So parasites are specific organisms that grow and feed on a host organism, usually to the detriment of that host's survival. So it could be a small type of organism or a large one like a human, but at some point it will absorb the nutrients of the host organism and or absorb the cellular material of the host organism. So they can live on the surface or they can live inside the host. It just depends on that particular parasite, and also they can be unicellular or multicellular. Now there are many different types. We're not really going to go into that detail, but just to be aware that they can be pathogenic organisms.